Pain reveals the unconscious layers of the self, awakening the hidden truths we fear to confront in the daylight. When we stop resisting our suffering, we begin to hear the silent voice of our forgotten soul whispering from the depths. The journey inward begins where comfort ends, for only in discomfort does the true self begin to emerge and evolve. Every wound is a message, carved by life, urging us to return to the path we once abandoned in fear. Avoiding pain delays wisdom. Embracing it leads us through the shadows into the sacred center of our being. Jung said neurosis is the suffering of a soul that has not discovered its meaning. Pain longs to be understood. Our suffering isn't punishment, but a divine invitation to wake up and reassemble the fragments of our broken psyche. Wholeness is not found in perfection, but in the honest integration of pain, fear, and forgotten inner truths. Transformation begins not in fixing the pain, but in allowing it to speak and unveil what we tried to silence. What we deny controls us. What we accept transforms us. Pain, when embraced, becomes a powerful alchemical fire. Pain is not our enemy, but the shadow companion guiding us back to the forgotten temple of the authentic self. We suffer most not from pain itself, but from the stories we create to avoid facing it with courage. Jung believed that the soul becomes sick when cut off from its truth. Pain signals that separation. When we cease judging our suffering, we start to understand its purpose in sculpting the architecture of inner strength. Peace is not found by escaping pain, but by integrating it into the tapestry of our conscious spiritual life. The road to individuation is paved with inner trials, where pain acts as the gatekeeper to sacred self-realization. As we walk through the fire of emotional agony, we burn away illusions and uncover the light buried deep within. Our greatest insights arise not from comfort, but from the willingness to suffer with awareness and compassion. The unconscious cries through pain. Those who dare to listen will find the gold hidden within their suffering. You cannot become whole without meeting your darkness. Pain is the first sign that the soul wants to return home. To reject pain is to reject the very force that chisels our soul into its most honest, complete expression. Beneath suffering lies the sacred truth. We are not broken, only being reshaped by life's deeper currents. When we suppress pain, we suppress life itself. Every emotion, even grief, is part of our wholeness. The shadow grows in silence. Pain is its voice, asking for light, meaning, and the grace of attention. Pain doesn't destroy the soul. It awakens it, tearing away illusions that once served but now suffocate. Growth begins when we ask not, "Why me?" but "What is this pain trying to teach me about myself?" Avoidance of pain breeds numbness. Embracing it brings the colors of life back into faded, forgotten places of the soul. Each time we lean into pain with curiosity, we reclaim a lost piece of our fractured, exiled self. To feel deeply is to live fully. Even sorrow is evidence that the soul still longs to evolve. Suffering is the soul's compass, pointing toward wounds still unhealed and truths still buried. In accepting pain, we step out of victimhood and into the sacred role of the conscious inner alchemist. The soul cannot heal what the ego refuses to feel. Pain breaks through where logic cannot. Pain strips away what is false, leaving only the raw, unfiltered truth of who we are becoming. Resistance to suffering creates internal war. Surrender brings integration and the restoration of inner order. Your inner peace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of meaning in your suffering. Emotional pain is not weakness. It is the initiation into deeper compassion, awareness, and personal power. Jung taught, "The gold is in the shadow, and the shadow always hides behind our greatest wounds." No one escapes pain, but those who face it awaken to a life more authentic, tender, and awake. Suffering carves space within us to hold deeper wisdom, love, and the sacred mystery of being alive. Embrace pain like a teacher, not a punishment. It arrives to reshape the soul with fierce grace. When you embrace your pain, you cease being its prisoner and begin walking the path of transformation. The more you avoid the wound, the more you deny the light waiting to emerge from it. We are not here to escape the storm, but to learn how to dance with lightning in our hearts. Pain is the sacred rite of passage from illusion to truth, from fragmentation to wholeness. Your pain is not a curse. It is a calling back to the truth you once abandoned. Only those who have walked through darkness can carry the light with humility and strength. Jung believed healing begins when we confront the soul's hidden reality, not when we pretend everything is fine. The path to wisdom is soaked in tears, yet those tears purify the vision of our inner eye. Pain teaches us what the intellect cannot, how to be human, vulnerable, and real. You cannot integrate what you will not face. Pain is the mirror where you meet your true self. Every time you survive pain, you become less reactive, more conscious, and closer to inner stillness. Behind every ache is a story the soul longs to tell. Listen, and you will remember your strength. The ego wants relief, the soul wants transformation. Pain is where their battle and potential union begins. Pain reveals where you've been split between image and essence, duty and desire, persona and soul. Even suffering has a sacred rhythm. If you stay present, it will guide you back to your forgotten wholeness. Wisdom grows not in comfort, but in the sacred fire of loss, longing, and fierce inner honesty. Until you meet your wound with reverence, you remain divided, haunted by the ghost of your disowned self. Emotional pain is the messenger of the unlived life waiting beneath the surface. Wholeness requires you to reclaim not only joy, but the sorrow that shaped your depth. Pain clears the illusion of control, reminding us of the mystery and fragility of being alive. The path to peace winds through the valley of sorrow. To rush it is to miss the sacred unfolding. The soul doesn't seek comfort, it seeks truth, and truth is often found in the ache of becoming. To transform suffering, you must stop blaming and start listening to what your pain is trying to reveal. Jung taught us, your wound is the place where life enters. Stop patching it with noise and distraction. Spiritual bypassing is the modern disease. Only by descending into pain do we rise in real peace. Pain exposes the fractures within, so healing can begin not with fantasy, but with fierce presence. Your healing is not a return to who you were, but an evolution into who you're meant to be. True strength is forged in the crucible of heartbreak, loss, and the refusal to abandon yourself again. When pain comes, welcome it as an old friend with a message from the depths of your being. Avoidance may ease discomfort temporarily, but only presence brings peace that endures. Pain humbles the ego and elevates the soul. It breaks you only to rebuild you stronger and truer. Every moment you accept your suffering is a step toward your rebirth into a more conscious self. What we resist persists, but what we embrace transforms. This is the sacred paradox of inner work. Pain opens the door to the unconscious, and there lies the blueprint of your true transformation. There is no peace without wholeness, and no wholeness without walking through the sacred fire of pain. Pain doesn't mean something's wrong, it means something deeper wants your attention, your love, your surrender. The soul doesn't seek to be fixed, it seeks to be fully felt, honored, and integrated. The wound is not a flaw. It is the entry point to your most intimate wisdom. Pain reveals the cracks in the mask. Through those cracks, the light of your truth begins to shine. Accepting pain is not weakness. It is the boldest form of spiritual maturity. When you sit with your pain, you are sitting with your truth, and that is where peace begins. Healing requires radical honesty with yourself, especially about the parts you've judged, ignored, or silenced. You don't find peace by avoiding pain. You find it by surrendering to the depth it calls you into. Pain isn't something to conquer, but to understand, to embrace, and to let transform you. The way out of pain is not escape. It is conscious descent into its lessons and hidden treasures. You don't lose yourself in pain. You meet the part of you waiting to be remembered. Pain teaches us to listen, not to the world, but to the quiet voice within. When you become intimate with pain, you become intimate with truth, beauty, and peace. To suffer consciously is to walk the sacred path of the awakened soul. Jung believed that integration, not perfection, is the goal, and pain is the catalyst for that integration. True peace emerges not from control, but from compassionately allowing what is. Your wound may not close quickly, but it will teach you the patience of the soul. Pain is the guardian at the threshold of wisdom. Do not curse it, bow to it. The soul speaks in symbols, dreams, and suffering. Learn its language, and you will know peace. Healing is not a destination, but a relationship with the parts of you that once felt unworthy. Let pain soften you, not harden you. Let it open you, not close you off. When you stop numbing the ache, you start remembering who you truly are. The pain you feel is not the end. It is the beginning of something more whole, more honest, more alive. The fire of pain burns away illusion. What remains is the gold of the soul. Accept your pain. It came to awaken you, not to punish, but to prepare. When you allow pain to exist without judgment, you invite the sacred into the most human part of your experience. The ego wants to escape suffering. The soul knows that only through suffering can we become truly whole. Pain is the bridge between your false identity and your truest, rawest, most luminous self. You cannot numb one part of yourself without silencing the entire truth of your being. Real growth happens not in comfort, but in the moments you dare to remain open in unbearable vulnerability. The soul's language is nonverbal. It speaks in dreams, symbols, and the ache that won't go away. When you embrace pain, you align with reality as it is, not as the ego wishes it to be. Each tear you shed waters the seeds of a more rooted, conscious, and authentic life. There is no greater strength than choosing to stay with your pain until it softens into meaning. Peace is not freedom from suffering, but intimacy with your suffering, held in love, not fear. Every wound tells a story. When you stop hiding it, you let others know they are not alone. Your darkest emotions are not enemies. They are messengers from the parts of you you've forgotten to love. Pain uncovers where you abandoned yourself. Healing is the return to that inner home. The soul doesn't evolve in certainty. It blooms through the courage of uncertainty and the humility of surrender. Nothing changes until it is faced. And everything begins to transform when pain is honored with presence. The unconscious becomes conscious through discomfort. There is no shortcut to integration without embracing what hurts. Pain makes poets of us all. Every ache births language deeper than words. Spiritual maturity is measured by your ability to hold pain without projecting it onto others. To love yourself fully, you must also love the wounds that shaped your becoming. Wholeness includes the parts of you you've tried to erase, especially the ones that ache. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real, and real includes sorrow, longing, and confusion. Pain is the midwife of your transformation. Without it, your soul remains unborn, trapped in comfort. Wisdom is not information. It is embodied understanding, earned by walking through fire with open eyes. The shadow hides in avoidance. Healing begins the moment you turn toward it with kindness. Your pain is a passage, not a prison. Walk through, and you will find your soul on the other side. Every heartbreak strips the false from the true. This is how the soul remembers its original shape. True healing is not about erasing pain, but about integrating it with compassion and meaning. The soul is not interested in shortcuts. It wants the full experience, even if it includes suffering. Until you befriend the pain within, the world will continue to mirror it without. There is no need to rush healing. Pain unfolds its lessons in divine time. When you feel like breaking, remember, what breaks is the shell, not the soul inside. Every collapse is a clearing, making space for something more honest to grow. Pain doesn't mean you failed. It means something deeper wants to awaken within you. Let your suffering be sacred. Let it guide you into the temple of your true self. Pain is not the absence of peace. It is the beginning of deeper peace. Accepting pain gives birth to wisdom. Resisting it breeds confusion, projection, and repetition. Every ache in your chest is an invitation to return to what is real. There is a light in your pain, but only if you are brave enough to sit in the dark. Inner peace begins where avoidance ends. The soul rests when it is no longer hidden. To walk with pain consciously is to walk with truth, and truth is always the path to peace. Stop trying to escape what hurts. Listen to it, and you'll hear your deepest wisdom. Each emotional wound is a sacred text. Read it with reverence, and you will remember who you are. You are not here to bypass pain, but to alchemize it into compassion, clarity, and strength. Pain humbles you, softens your defenses, and makes space for true connection with self, others, and the divine. Let go of the fantasy of a pain-free life. It's in pain that your soul is refined. Nothing awakens the soul like suffering. It breaks open what was once numb. The wisdom you seek is often buried in the very emotions you most fear to feel. If you reject pain, you reject the part of you that needs the most love. Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." That is the cost of authenticity. Peace grows where pain is no longer denied but embraced like a long-lost part of the soul. In the fire of suffering, illusions burn and clarity is born. Pain is not to be eliminated, but integrated, until it no longer controls your choices. True healing happens not when pain ends, but when you stop identifying with the wound itself. The soul's evolution is rarely gentle. It is fierce, demanding, and ultimately liberating. Pain is your initiation into depth, into soul, into your sacred humanity. Every moment of pain is a portal. Enter it, and you may find a deeper version of yourself. The soul isn't healed by time alone, but by presence, honesty, and love. Pain sharpens your perception. It brings what's hidden into the light of awareness. Accept pain not as punishment, but as preparation for a greater truth you are ready to hold. When you stop fixing yourself and start feeling yourself, peace returns like an old friend. Let pain do its sacred work. Don't rush healing. Trust the wisdom beneath the ache. There's no bypassing the soul's descent. Only through the dark do we find the light. Your pain is not random. It's the soul's way of getting your attention. Pain often arrives as the teacher we didn't ask for but desperately needed. The wound is where your soul meets the world. Tend to it with reverence. Every hurt you survive builds the foundation for deeper inner peace. You are not your pain, but you must pass through it to meet your essence. The more you resist your pain, the more it persists. The more you accept, the more it teaches. Pain is the proof that you're still becoming, still alive, still open, still human. Your ache is sacred. It holds the map back to wholeness. Stop trying to numb the pain. Sit with it and let it show you what still longs to be known. Each wave of suffering refines the soul like water-smooth stone. What hurts now may one day be your greatest source of wisdom. The soul trusts pain more than pleasure. It knows the fire burns away what no longer serves. Peace is not avoiding pain. It is embracing the whole experience of being alive. Let your wounds breathe. They carry the scent of your rebirth. To heal is to touch your suffering with love instead of fear. What you feel deeply, you transform deeply. That is the law of inner work. Embrace your pain like a sacred guest. It came bearing the truth you tried to forget. You are stronger not despite your pain, but because of the way you've walked through it. Pain creates depth. Don't fear it. Welcome it as the shaper of your most honest self. The soul needs you to feel it all, not just the joy, but the ache too. Avoiding pain keeps you fragmented. Accepting it brings you back to your center. Every emotion has a message. Pain's message is, you are still alive, still growing, still needed. True peace arises when the soul feels seen, heard, and held, pain and all. To fully live, you must feel deeply, even if what you feel burns. Wholeness includes the broken pieces, held in light, not shame. Pain opens the heart's eye to truths the mind tried to suppress. The more you embrace your darkness, the more radiant your light becomes. Healing is not fixing what's wrong. It's loving what is. Sit with your ache. It's not here to destroy, but to awaken. Your pain is your path, not an obstacle, but a sacred invitation to evolve. The soul only whispers when you're comfortable. It screams when you need to awaken. Peace blooms in the soil of radical acceptance. Pain is not the enemy, denial is. Every tear carries wisdom, if you dare to let it fall. Let your suffering make you more human, not more hardened. Accept your pain, and you reclaim your power. Wisdom is born in the fire of suffering, not the comfort of avoidance. In embracing your pain, you return home to the truth, to your soul, to the peace you've always carried inside.